everybody, and welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, my co-host, Jose Romero.
As always, greetings and salutations on this very special Nerd Day, because every day is a special Nerd Day.
We talk about This Week in Geek. Absolutely. Every day when you get to hang out with a friend, pontificate about the nerddoms that you've seen, it's a magical time. It's a magical feeling. It's like Christmas, but smaller.
I don't want to diminish it. I think it's just as equal as Christmas, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, listen, you must have a better Christmas than I.
That's fair.
You must get all the presents.
I don't get shit, dude. It's all about giving, dude. Okay. Whatever. Nonsense.
Fake news.
Oh man, you must be kind of in a foul mood today, though. I gotta say.
What?
I know you were such a devoted follower of Disney Plus's Willow, man. Which got the axe today, dude. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to, post salt over the wound, if you will.
Listen.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to find out if National Treasure is going to get picked up, because if it does, then there's a conspiracy. That's what I'm saying.
I was gonna say, I read this story and as I was waiting for it in the next page, and also National Treasure.
That's what I'm.
Because it needs to.
That should have been canceled off the jump.
There's no disagreeing there. But yeah, no, but that's what I saw. Well, listen, Willow was terrible too. Let's be honest.
I thought it was fun and poppy and silly, and I enjoyed it.
Fair enough, but now you can no longer enjoy it.
I can now. I just gotta watch Willow the movie over and over and over again. Guess what? I did it anyway. So just going back to it, because you know what? Here's the thing: is Willow great? Yes, but you need Madmartigan. You can't just have Willow. Willow and Madmartigan, they're the Batman and Robin, the Albert and Costello to this. So,
oh man, I'm glad I get the bat out of the way, because it is actually a very good day today to talk. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff. It's quality over quantity in terms of what we're talking about, some of the subjects and shows and films we're talking about. Because March, listen, I said a couple weeks ago, March was going to be a big month.
Big month.
And it has been for film and TV, across all films, not just genre.
Absolutely.
Right? But Kree was really good. I actually like Scream. That was pretty good. I like Shazam. I'll talk about John Wick in a moment. The reviews speak for themselves. It's great. Dungeons and Dragons in a couple of days. Very excited about that.
Absolutely.
Mandalorian, Last of Us, which we'll definitely talk about. Even Ted Lasso, right? Which was a decent episode. Reference to Star Wars. I mean, come on. Talk about Happy Nerd Day. That one scene, y'all have seen the first episode, season 3. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Very cool Jedi, reference in there. That was pretty cool. But yeah, it's been a big.
Even soccer players are nerds, guys.
The football is life, as they say in this case. So it's nerds in every genre, not just movies and television. But yeah, so it's a big month, man. So I'm very pleased that everything's kind of been working out, right? Sometimes we get expectations and we get let down half the time. I haven't had that letdown yet. That's rare. That's surprising.
Yet.
I mean, it could happen, but I mean, it's only got a couple weeks left, and it's really. I think the last thing, Dungeons and Dragons, is the only thing I'm waiting for.
That's the one I feel like for the month of March. So it's the one that could go either way. It's not a guaranteed,
but it's also the one with the least expectations as well.
Yeah.
So if it does go right, okay, that's fine. 1 out of 5 or whatever movies. I can live with that.
My bar is so low as long as it's not like the last Dungeons and Dragons movie with Marlon Wayans and Jeremy Irons. It's got to be better than that. As long as it's better than that, dude, I'm good.
It really can't. It cannot be worse. I tell you right now.
Don't say can't.
It can't. It won't. I actually did hear solid things about it, so
that's good.
But expectations are still tapered, because whatever.
Sure.
But that being said, listen, before we get to the big shows, we want to talk about some of this stuff: the finale, Last of Us, Mandalorian, all that. One bit of news. It's a very slow week. But it's a good and bad news situation. We'll start with the bad. Let's get the bad out of the way, right? Besides Willow. Ben Affleck. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. I think, James Gunn said they had spoken to him or possibly directing, right? And we speculated what he should direct and whatever. Nope. Apparently that would not be the case any longer, because he was being interviewed and he basically just came out and said that he wants nothing to do with directing a DC film, just comic book film in general. He likes James Gunn. He's a great guy, but it's not for him. He had his fill with all the nonsense with the Snyder stuff. Everything went down. I think it led him to start drinking a lot and all that stuff. You know how that goes. So he's out. He said it straight up. He's out. This is not an Andrew Garfield. I'm not Spider-Man. I'm out. So much for that meeting. Apparently that meeting didn't go well. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad because we both wanted Ben Affleck to do something
Look,
in DC, right?
Here's the thing. Ben Affleck did Hollywoodland, which is about the actor that played Superman, George Reeves. So give it time, and I'm sure Ben Affleck will do a biopic about an actor who did a superhero movie recently. He might do the Ezra Miller story where you're happy the hero, the main actor, gets it in the end. Like he gets killed or car accident, goes to jail. You're like, hooray! And this way he can revisit all the superhero stuff without being directly affected by it. I'm hoping it's that. Or do a biopic about Michael Keaton, because you're going to get Batman, Birdman, the Vulture, back to Batman. I mean, you're going to get everything.
It's full circle. I like that. But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it sucks. I kind of wanted to see him. We talked about. I mean, unless the swerve is that he's not doing a film in the DC universe, but an Elseworld, right? Which they said was a film. I mean, so he's still being honest there. He's not doing a DC universe film. James Gunn.
I will say, if you're a DC fan right now, there's a character that's been around since like the 60s or 70s called the Human Target. Tom King, the guy who wrote the Supergirl series that is being turned into a movie. Tom King, who has been also part of the writing staff that James Gunn has hired for the new DCU, has just finished a 12-issue miniseries about the Human Target, where it's a murder has been committed and he believes it's a member of the Justice League. So every issue is him basically investigating or dealing with the presence of a Justice Leaguer while trying to find out who committed the murder. That would be Elseworldly because it's a Black label, so it's like in continuity, but not really. I could absolutely see Ben Affleck do a murder mystery where the superhero is tangential, but the main character is just a dude who is very good at what he does.
That's interesting. I like the idea.
I would have. The more as I was thinking about it, I was like, if Ben Affleck doesn't want to do superhero with the costumes and everything, but wants to still dip his toe, I would not mind him directing a movie based off Tom King's Human Target miniseries, which is fantastic. Go buy it. I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but it's a murder. So if it's believed it's illegal, Human Target has to find out. It's bad. I'll put it this way. This is not ruining anything, but this is how good of a story Tom King does. When it gets to the Batman issue, Batman is on every page. Every character feels the presence of Batman, and Batman never shows up in the book. That's how great of like what Batman means to people's mind. Fantastic. Just so good.
I would say this about James Gunn, though, because I think I know he's very active on Twitter. Right. And we can appreciate that at times, but when you're that active, it allows us to come back and bite you in the ass for sometimes. And this is one of those things where, like, okay, because he talks about it, gets people excited, and this happens, right? And it's like, announce something when it's in stone, right? Just say you're meeting with somebody, say, I met with him, and we signed him, and he's directing something.
Remember this. Everyone that he's had a meeting with is no longer part of the DCU.
That's what I'm saying.
Had a meeting with Henry Cavill, gone. Had a meeting with Ben Affleck, gone. Had a meeting with The Rock, gone. Don't get a meeting with James Gunn. You can still be in the DCU.
Well, then Momoa is the only one that actually came out like,
the only one.
The only one, right?
But you know what? James Gunn didn't say he had a meeting with. There was reported by other people that he had a meeting with James Gunn.
Fair enough.
James Gunn never admitted. So if James Gunn tells you we're having a meeting, it's a wrap.
That's a good point, because I know James Gunn said he met with the guys who did Batgirl, right? If I'm not mistaken, and we haven't heard anything from them, so whatever. James Gunn needs to just kind of scale back a little.
But they also said Batgirl was like unwatchable. So he's burying them.
Maybe it's very watchable. I don't know. Who knows? We're never going to find that out. But speaking of James Gunn, It's just good news. News that, I mean, comes from the file that I'm not surprised, but because we talked about this when we speculated about James Gunn, the slate of movies coming out, and what's he gonna do, yada yada yada. We know he's writing Superman, but now it's been confirmed he will be indeed directing Superman Legacy, starting the DCU off, which is good news, and it makes sense, right? This is what we said, right? If you're gonna be the man, set the tone creatively. It's like, a lot of shows do that with the pilots, or the first episodes are done by like James Gunn with Peacemaker. Ryan Johnson did with Poker Face in recent memory. Set the tone and let someone else take off base of that. So
it's what Jon Favreau did with Iron Man. He set the tone for the Marvel Universe, and it went from there.
I think I think we figured this was going to happen. I know. I think you had, what was the other film? I forgot the other.
I wanted to do Authority.
There you go. But it makes sense. This makes sense, right? This makes sense. This is gonna, he's going to kind of put that load on his shoulders and carry DC into the next wave. If it fails, it's on him. There's no excuses, right? He can't say, well,
fair.
I got this. This is how we're gonna set the table, and then let's go from there. This is a big film. This is restarts everything. This is the actual first film in this new regime, if you will. These other films don't count. Shazam, Flash, don't count.
I know we put money down on like the ratings of movies when they come out. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna I don't want to bet on the rating. What I do want to bet is what do you think the over under is going to be that Born in the USA is going to be part of the soundtrack? Because I feel like if you're going to do a Superman movie and James Gunn's going to direct and write it, it's all about music, right? He does the music, tell the story. So they got to play Born in the USA.
I'll set the line at 30%. I'll keep it
really
low.
That low? I thought it'd be a little bit higher.
We'll keep it low because I just don't know. I mean, this is gonna be interesting because obviously he can't do like something like in the vein of these Suicide Squad.
Right.
Obviously, right. Superman is never gonna be like that, and it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Exactly.
It's gonna be more.
Even though it's fun, it was still dark.
No, exactly.
You can't do that.
I mean, it has the ability to tell a story, which is why I like him writing.
Sure.
It, but that tone is not gonna work. More Guardians than anything else. Maybe even a little bit lighter than that, probably.
I think it'd be a little lighter.
Probably a little light on that, right? I said that 8% because I don't know if he's gonna. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of curious, because he may just make this the least James Gunn film that he's done in the past, and that's not a bad thing. Right?
I disagree.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
I feel like by setting the tone, he also has to show like what I did for Marvel, I'm going to do for DC. Not the darkest part of the DC, but now the lightest signature part of DC. He's doing Spider-Man for DC. I mean, not actually Batman is DC Spider-Man, right. But he's doing like the Captain America of DC, really, if you want to think about it, so you gotta look. You look at the first Captain America movie, super light, even though it's World War II, it's a very light movie. And they're dealing with dark subject matters, but it never gets too. And I think that's going to be somewhere between the first Captain America movie and the first Guardians movie is going to be the sweet spot to make this movie work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be somewhere along. Yeah, you're right. Along those lines, very, I guess, hopeful kind of films where he needs to make, right? Very positive. It's Superman, without getting too campy. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting. And it's funny because he talked about, because it's 2 years, a little over 2 years, right? Well, maybe 2 years and 4 or 5 months. He talked about, I guess, the release date. And I guess he just realized it. I don't know I forget, correct me if you heard about it, but he mentioned that it was his father's birthday or the anniversary of his death. I don't know. I think his father already passed, but I think the day it's being released falls on one of those days. So he thought, oh man, he got something to live for, right? And expectations. Because he hadn't realized that was the case when he set the date. He didn't know that. So I think it's his brother, what's his face, whatever, told him about it. So yeah, so we're gonna get a casting very soon. I kind of think it's already been casted though.
Who do you think the villain's gonna be?
I don't know, man.
I'm hoping because with James Gunn's experience with doing space, he's very good with space. I'm hoping Brainiac or Mongol. It's one of the two.
I'm hoping
I like
Brainiac, but I have. Who knows? I don't know what. Again, we don't know what's this new direction they're going with. Right? We don't know yet, and that's the thing. So we have no clue. This is the first one out of the gate. I don't know. It's not going to be Lex Luthor. Or he may be in it. I'm sure we have him in it because he's still part of the Superman world everybody knows. He might be in the background, just a guy, but I don't think he should not be the villain. Please don't let him be a villain. I don't know, man. I'm kind of curious. Brainiac's the only one that makes sense.
I'll tell you
But
what, Jose. Don't rack your brain too hard. This might be a perfect special edition of Pitch Please, where we both pitch our take of a James Gunn Superman and see what happens. Might be an idea.
I have to think about that one though.
Yeah,
I
that's the
need
thing.
time let them
Sit
marinate.
on
I
it.
need
Think
to let
about it.
them marinate. Right, we need time marinate, but
We'll
we'll
make a
definitely
thing out of this.
yeah, we'll definitely
Keep
table
tuning
that.
in,
Yeah,
guys. We're gonna make a thing out of this.
yeah,
We'll get back to you guys soon.
yeah. Because that will be very interesting to see. What he decides to do. So, but yeah, so that's interesting news out of there. Let's hit the big three here. We got three big things to talk about, right?
Woo!
Quantity over quality. Well, quality over quantity. Sorry.
Superman,
First
right
one,
there.
John Wick, man. Talk about John Wick, because I fucking love. Who doesn't love John Wick, for Christ's sake? Come on, man. Come on. Fourth one's coming on next week. I saw it this past Tuesday. Sorry.
So grace us with the nuggets, homie.
It's not good. It's not good. It's great. It's awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so good. I mean, it's listen. We know what John Wick is, right? We know what to expect.
Sure.
We want cool action, some good built lore. Keanu Reeves doing what he does, and this gives you everything you wanted, right? No more, no less. And I was concerned about this 2 hours and 50-minute runtime because that's a long time.
That's what I heard.
That's a long time
That's what I heard.
because, especially with action films, too much action can get redundant, and you kind of
Yep.
you start losing yourself after a while, right? We've seen a lot of times, particularly with really big third act after a while, like, okay, can we just get to it? I think part three suffered a little bit from that. I love part three had the best action out of all the films,
I agree.
but the first one's still the better movie. And I still hold it. Well, first one's still the better movie, even better than this one in terms of just story, simple, whatever. Action, man, I don't know if this is better than three, and I don't know in terms of action. I think it is, but I'm going to see it again next week to get a better gauge where I rank this film. But that's neither here nor there. Man, it's that 2 hour 50 run time goes. You don't even. I didn't notice it. I did not notice it. It flew by. It really did. It's very well paced. And
That's great.
And that's saying it only has 3 action scenes for the most part.
Really?
Yes. As one little quick thing in the beginning of if you've seen the trailer with the horses, that's like 2 seconds. That doesn't really count, to be honest with you. But beyond that, it's really just 3 big set pieces, right? And that's it. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but they're big.
They're big.
I mean, the first one, we were like, I saw it with friends in the theater, and everyone was like, yeah. And it's like, God damn, this shit's taking a long time. Not in a bad way, but this is like a long fucking sequence, man. And that's not a big spoiler, but it's the first one focuses on in Japan. You've seen the trailers,
Okay.
of course, yeah.
Sure.
Phenomenal. The second one, what's this guy? Something Atkins is in martial artist. Oh my God, what's his name? Steve Atkins? I think it's Steve Atkins. I don't know. But he's like another martial artist. If you know a lot of Kung Fu films, you've probably seen him before. He's in a fat suit. That was a great scene. And that third act was incredible. The action's so good, dude. The way it's filmed. That's what's weird about John Wick. It's the way they film this shit, man. You see the action. The choreography's on point.
Yeah.
Awesome angles. A scene where he's shooting people in the building. He's shooting people, of course, John Wick. But they take a top view of it. So you can see all the rooms, and he's going around.
Oh, that's cool.
Super cool. Like, I love that. It's good, great cinematography, man.
It reminds me of like old video game layouts, like original GTA when you watch the car.
Yes, exactly. So that was pretty cool. Like you play like a third person top view games. We played those in the past. Donnie Yang is awesome in this because he's Donnie Yang. Of course he is. And it's funny because I didn't know this. I don't know if the trailer revealed it. I don't know, but he's blind in the film.
Oh, he's Daredevil. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But he also was from Rogue One, but he was also blind.
True.
So go figure. Him blind is still better than anybody else you can see. I mean, let's be clear. He's great in it. Bill Skarsgård, the villain, he's great. It's really good. It's just a great, fun action. I always say this, and I'll forgive it because it's John Wick. But as the series has progressed, right? John Wick, I make fun of Fast 5 because you can might as well put Marvel on it. I won't go as far as to say that, but just John Wick himself, he might as well be a superhero because, man, I'll forgive it. But, man, it's like, no, I mean, he falls off the roof. You've seen him. Even at the end of the third one, he fell off 3-4 stories. He's fine. Hit by cars. It keeps going. Whatever. It's John Wick. I don't give a fuck. I mean, no, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let all that go.
Yeah, it's weird because if you watch John Wick 1, the craziest part of it is watching him get hit by a car. But every other John Wick after that, you're just like, oh, what?
He's a superhero.
I know the suit's special, but that's crazy.
He's a superhero, but you know what? I'll forgive it because that's what you want to see, right? That's what you want
You
to
kind of
see.
want to see,
You kind of want to see that. Otherwise, what's the point? He gets falls down, he dies, and what are we doing, right? I mean, hello, it's pointless. But I mean, the action is so, and it's just with three sequences, it's the story sets up in between, really cool. Everything really fit him, man. And there's something I really want to talk about. I can't because it may give too much away on the ending.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pose a question to you. I assume you're gonna watch it the next week,
Of course.
whenever,
Yeah.
whenever. Obviously, I'll bring it up because it's something I was kind of wondering if they had set it up a certain way and how I felt about I won't say there is an after credit scene.
When we do our spoiler review,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
will
There is an after credit scene, by the way.
Nice.
At the only one scene at the very end of the credits, so stick around for that. But yeah, it's well done, man. The action is cool shit. There's another guy with a dog, kind of like what Halle Berry had. One guy, he's actually a really cool character as well. He has no name. He's called the Tracker or Nobody. That's basically what he's referred to.
Okay.
That's a cool addition, building on the lore. It's so cool, man. I can't wait to see it again to get a good. I want to digest it one more time. See it again and see how it feels second time. There's a 250 really. For me, it flew back. It did not feel it, man. Other movies you feel it. Even good movies you still feel it, right?
Right.
Plenty of time. But this one, I just bring it on, dude. I mean,
I
wish I looked
sounds
at
great.
I wish I looked at the watch. I could have sworn some of the sequences were at least, I don't know, it felt like 20, 25 minutes. That's long.
Oh, wow.
That's what it felt like. And maybe, I gotta know, I didn't get a good sense of it, but it felt like 20 minutes, right? That for action sequence, that's a long time. Even 5 minutes. Even 5 minutes. It doesn't sound like a lot. It's a lot for an action film. A 5 minute sequence, maybe in the third act you may get something like that, but not the first act or the second act.
And also for the human body as well. Like, think of it like this way. Like, that dude if John Wick's character had to fight X number of people, the minimum is 500. So
at least
for 30 minutes, I mean, you're exhausted after
yeah,
that.
it looks,
like,
but that sequence did involve several characters, so it wasn't just
Sure,
John Wick doing
okay.
it. So some of that when it takes it to Japan, I think it's Japan, I think it is. The manager of that Continental there is the famous guy. He was someone in Mortal Kombat, played Scorpion, I think. He's in Warrior. I forget his name, but he's a phenomenal. If you see his face, that guy.
Okay, you're like, that dude, sure.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah, you see him. Oh yeah, and he had some scenes in Donnie Yang's in there doing some really. Donnie Yang's a man. He's awesome. His guy was made for John Wick. He really is made for John Wick. And there's some guys that made for. He is one of them, right? Tony Jaa would have known him, but he never got a chance to. He kind of faded away.
Yeah,
he would have been great on this. But yeah, it's awesome. I loved it. It's really good. I don't want to do a knee-jerk reaction. I'll rank it after I see it again and get a good sense.
Okay.
Because the third
Fair.
one, I saw the first two. We had plans to see the second one. The third one I didn't get a chance to. So I kind of want to see the third one again and then, now I can really compare. I'll probably see the third one this week before I see it again next Friday. Oh, yeah. Okay, it is what isn't better. Right now, I think it is. I just don't know. I can go back. But it's really cool. Yeah, awesome time. Pee before you walk in because you don't walk out. That's for sure. Yeah, because it's long sequences. But yeah, very cool. So absolutely, yeah, great time in the movies. Mando. Let's talk Mando. Here. Episode 3. Yeah, which gotta say was the weirdest episode of Mando we've gotten. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It was just a weird.
You know what? I gotta tell you, I actually really liked this episode because it felt like I was reading a comic book. Because sometimes, you follow a Spider-Man comic book, you follow a Daredevil comic, and you're there for Daredevil. But every once in a while, we're gonna focus on Foggy just because, like, this is Foggy's day now. Like, and I was like, and Dr. Persian is a guy who we followed for 2 seasons. So not followed, but we're aware of him. He's been interacting. So to kind of see like a big change in his life, what that would look like, and by doing that in comparison, also seeing how the New Republic was being structured, I thought it was really interesting. I know there's people complain like I didn't watch Dr. Persian. Yeah, I know. That's why he's at the start of every episode. But they allude to like cloning, which kind of connects to Snoke and the Emperor, but they also show you like how the New Republic is being structured, which kind of helps explain how the First Order was able to kind of maybe get as big as it got because of the way that they're managing themselves. And I kind of like sort of like watching how the hot dog gets made and how it breaks the dude. I kind of like that.
It's weird because the beginning was awesome. Let's focus on that first, right? Let's finish on the.
Oh,
Because
beginning
it's funny.
was
This was
great.
one of the longest episodes they had of Mandalorian, but we got the least of Mandalorian too at the same time. So
Yeah,
it was odd. It's very odd. But the beginning is great, man. I love how it starts. Right, we leave, the rivers or whatever, the waters. Cool dogfight scenes. There's a one scene where
super fun.
where she turns that flips their ship around, which is awesome.
That was
That
great.
was just dope as fuck. Very cool. And then I saw the show. People say becomes Andor, right? I
My-
guess, and I get it, right? I
It
get
was
it.
it was more spycraft. So yeah, I
I
guess a
get it,
little
but if you compare
Andorian.
it to
Yeah,
anything, it's closer to Andor than it is Mandalorian, right?
sure,
So I mean, it's
sure.
whatever. I get it, right? I'm not gonna say I fully agree, but I understand. Saying, but that kind of tone and it just felt like two completely different shows, right? And then we go back and end up with Mandalorian again for a really quick shot. But it was just weird. I don't know if I enjoyed it. I don't know where they're going with this because the tone is so off from what we see. It's hard to combine these tones. Pick and lane, right? It's like when they had the Mando episodes in Boba Fett, right? Both shows had the
Right,
same kind of tone. One was just done shit,
right.
executed shitty, and one's not. But it's the same kind of tone, same kind of vibe, same kind of feel, same kind of look, right? It's just different characters. This felt like a totally different show.
First of all, here's what I thought. Everything you saw in the show, even though it wasn't about Mando, is very much in the myth and world building of the Mandalorian series. You could not have done this episode without experiencing Dr. Pershing in season 1 and season 2, and seeing that chick was Moff Gideon's like one of his
Right.
head people. So all this is still within the Mando lore of the series,
Isn't the
which is
lore?
why to
Yeah,
me,
it's definitely the lore, but it's just
yeah, and which to me it worked. And this episode was really about the lore of the series, both the Mandalorian religious process directly, but also the world that the Mando has affected as a greater whole. I and not for nothing, big credit to the effects on this episode, not because of stuff like how good the mythosaur looked in episode 2, but the fact that this was probably the best use of the volume I've seen in a long time. It felt like they were in a world. It didn't feel like Obi-Wan, where it felt like they were in a studio
sure.
on a sound set. It felt like they were in a world. The world felt expansive, not this part is real and all this is just a screen. I was really impressed. The fact that Coruscant felt like a ginormous planet city.
No,
That
yeah,
I
it looked really good. I mean, obviously we've got a little bit of an Andor, but not quite the same. Obviously, in terms of Sith, but it looked cartoony at times.
right.
But yeah, like I said, it depends where they're going with it. I don't know because my only thing is we're dedicating so much time to a part of the show, which who cares ultimately? Because listen, they're giving us it's all the whole Snoke thing and all that. This is obviously what this is all alluding to, right? And all that, and the
Sure.
Palpatine and the Palpatines and all. So basically, they're giving us a prequel to literally the shittiest Star Wars movie we've ever seen. I don't care.
I disagree.
Like
I feel like they're using Mandalorian to do for the
no, but
sequel series what the Clone Wars did for the prequel series.
you can't improve shit. Rise of Skywalker is terrible. I don't care if this is the greatest show we've ever seen on lights, which is not going to be. If it is Rise of Skywalker, it still sucks, right? The premise behind it, the cloning, it all sucks. It sucked. Palpatine, terrible.
Listen,
I don't know I don't want to know the backstory of something that sucked, right? It's not going to make it
the
better.
Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones sucked, but the Clone Wars made it suck less.
But it sucks. Okay, so are you gonna go back and watch Rise of Skywalker? If this is a great show, no. Is anybody gonna say?
No, but
Okay,
I will rewatch Force
no
Awakens.
one's rewatching Rise of Skywalker, dude.
I said Force Awakens. Listen, what I'm saying. I will rewatch Force Awakens and maybe parts of the Last Jedi and feel good about it because of Mando. I'll never make it to Rise of Skywalker, but I can watch
That's
those
what I'm.
two.
Yeah, but the cloning doesn't exist in Force Awakens. It doesn't exist in Last Jedi. It only existed in the Rise of Skywalker. So I don't give a fuck what they do. Force Awakens will be good with or without Mando. Rise
Listen,
sucks.
listen.
Honestly, who cares? Mando's. I want. If you can do Mando, right? And I know they have a hard time getting away from what we know. We got that. Mando kind of towed the line, right? We kind of it's its own thing, right? Still in that world, fair enough, but he's doing your own thing. Now they're trying to tie in to the world I don't want this tied to. Why would anybody want this? There shouldn't be any fan that wants the same old retread. We shouldn't want that. We don't want that. Even Andor, I said it before, as great as it is, I don't give a fuck about the prequel. I don't. Stop giving us this. Don't connect don't make Mando, associate Mando with the crap of that trilogy. Who wants that? Honestly, it's not gonna make it any better.
What I'm saying
Make
is
it your own thing.
If someone destroyed the bathroom, just completely destroyed it, and you had somebody with like an air freshener, they could pop in, stick an arm spray, and walk. That's what Mando did. It's like,
yeah, dude.
There you go, peace. I'm out.
It's Febreze. You spray it, and it smells good for like 2 seconds. Don't buy Febreze, it's nonsense. But it's like 2 seconds, and then it smells like shit again, right? It's like, well, everybody, the commercials, they lie to you. But I want Mando to be its own thing. Don't tie us down to that. I really don't tie us down to that, right? Keep it Mando. Keep it to the stuff that we have never seen before, right? This lore, Mandalorian, all. We haven't seen that, and that's cool, right? We know what the clone stuff. We know what that led to. Shit, right? It's shit. So I'm hoping, that's why I don't think we need 40 minutes out of the 50-minute episode dedicated to that. It could have just given us 10 minutes. At the end of the day, fine. Set it up. There's someone there, and they're still trying to clone. That's all you needed. You needed 5 minutes.
Here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, also, I'm a big fan of character study episodes. I just really like them. And I like this character study about a dude. Like, every time I thought, oh, this is what, like, it's going to lead to this, and I thought I figured out the plot of this episode, it went a little bit different. I was like, oh, cool. So when you find out that this chick set up this whole thing as, like, entrapment, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And you just, and to see that she clearly is not reformed. Clearly, she's using the New Republic.
Right, of course, right. And she's working,
and I thought that was
working for Moff Gideon, I'm assuming. But they could have just made a sentence and, Moff Gideon could have said, I got someone on the inside. That's it. Quick. And give us what we want. We want to see Mac.
But if she ends up breaking Moff Gideon out, you now understand how she got this close, because she's earned her trust
doesn't matter.
By turning him over.
Doesn't matter. He could just have a mole. There.
I like
movie have you ever someone said I got a mole and no one says, "Ooh, I wonder how the mole got in there." It's a mole. That's it.
I wonder how the mole got in there.
Stop. You never wonder that. You've seen 1,000 movies with the mole or some traitor.
But I've never seen Star Wars do the mole. I'm watching the mole.
He's not important, and he's not an important character. We saw him for 2 minutes out of the 20 episodes that we got so far. Who cares about this guy? Who cares about her?
Sir.
Nobody cares.
Minutes. Thank you.
Nobody cares, dude. We've seen this guy for 2 seconds. I
liked it.
We want a backstory in the guy. No one remembers that doctor guy. I guarantee no one.
Excuse me.
When they show
Star Wars is all about
when they show the beginning, they're like, oh, that guy. Remember that guy with the glasses?
Boba Fett is the guy you saw for 2 seconds. This whole show came out of. You can't.
Right. And how good was that show? Mandalorian
was great.
No, but that's not the character. You're talking about Boba Fett.
But Boba Fett is a Mandalorian, which is what the Mandalorian is.
Awful. But the
Boba Fett was bad. Mandalorian is good.
I agree, but
Mandalorian is because we saw a dude for 2 seconds and went, what's up with that dude?
Yeah, but at least they made a show about him.
Nobody was asking for it.
Right, but I'm saying, I agree with you. They made a show about him. Now we're taking the show about somebody and introducing someone we don't give a fuck about for 50 minutes. Who cares? Mando, it's not like they put Mando for half an episode and then we moved on to Baby Yoda. It was called The Mandalorian. It's not called Dr. Glasses guy who's a
There's
schmuck.
A little bit of setup. You can't, and not everything has to pay off right then and there. I'm cool with a ride as long as
I know the payoff. It's called Rise of Skywalker. Thank you.
No, the payoff was
The
Force Awakens.
That was not the payoff. That was not the payoff.
Cocaine-fueled excuse to finish a thing.
And they're using that excuse to piggyback on this show. It's like you're giving us the worst. You're not saying what's this guy? Adam Driver's character? Can't remember his name. Rilo. They're talking about him. They're talking about some part of a third part of a chapter which sucked balls. Who cares?
Listen,
who cares?
All Mandalorian is a good good smelling person who's trying to lessen the stink of something else.
That 40 minutes was Febreze. And it lasted.
That was Febreze.
And it lasted 2 minutes. It lasted 2 minutes.
You walked into a disgusting bathroom.
Right. After 2 minutes of that scene of the stupid glasses guy, it was smelling like shit already. We got 2 minutes, and they gave us 40. The Febreze lasts 2 or 3 minutes max. Don't give us 40 minutes. And then you have this amazing smelling in the bathroom. You give us 5 minutes in the beginning and 2 minutes in the end. I don't want to see this shit in the bathroom. Give me a nice shit. Give me Mando. Give me flying around. That's the shit I want to see.
Sure.
I don't need Febreze. God.
I like a good character study. I sometimes
Just for the record,
Febreze
is not
welcome.
sponsored this show.
So,
just want to say
should
the
Febreze?
opinions
Where
of
are
those
you
who
at?
express
We
here do
should
not
be getting
match those
sponsored,
of make
clearly.
Febreze or Febreze sellers around the country. Let's talk about something does not need Febreze. Well, at least I'm
Sure.
assuming that. I don't know your thoughts on this yet, but I'm going to assume you're going to share my thoughts on this. Last of Us, HBO finally ended, right?
We've been holding off talking about.
We're holding
this.
off, right? I mean, we missed some time. It was like, why not just wait to the end? Because it was coming soon. 9-episode run finally ended, and which I think became. By the time that it aired, it was the viewership doubled since the first episode, which is an incredible number.
The last episode got in total within 72 hours. You got a total of 30 million views.
What it was is the totality of the viewership of the season actually was even more than Game of Thrones.
That's what I heard.
Which is impressive.
That's what I heard.
Which is the last
Absolutely.
One very impressive for a property no one knew about, the gamers aside.
Right.
Very small percentage, but Game of Thrones was the House of Dragon name. I'm sorry, was built off Game of Thrones, which is the biggest show.
Absolutely.
So incredibly impressive. There's a reason why. There's a reason why the viewership went up, doubled by the last episode, because it's that good.
Yeah.
I assume you're nodding, so I assume you agree, right? We both agree.
Listen, was the show perfect? No.
I'm not saying that at all.
Biggest complaint: not enough of the affected. I wanted more cordyceps. I wanted a little bit more horror based. I mean, granted, maybe it's because I wanted, like a game, like a Walking Dead kind of situation where it was more the fear, monster survival.
Sure.
Early seasons, not the later ones, but like up until season 5, where you're you're surviving.
I didn't last that long, but
I'll take it. I stayed until the beginning of the Whispers, and I was out. So, but like I wanted the monster. I wanted to see the gross. Like, to me, my favorite episodes were episode 1, episode 2, for monsters. Episode 1 and 2, and then episode 4 and 5. Mm-hmm. Those were as close to monsters. Not only and also if you want to talk about monsters, technically episode 7 was a monster too, because you had the cannibals. So episode 8. Yeah. Episode 8. Yeah. Okay, so those episodes were monsters. But like when I saw the clickers, when I saw the big hulking, I forgot what he's called, like a brawler or something like that, it was great. I wanted more of that. Because they look so much different than regular zombies. I wanted them to really indulge in that horror aspect that I think was fun. But how can you take away from like episode 3, that Bill and Frank love episode? If you're not at least a little misty-eyed by the end, you don't have a soul.
Nice.
Like those dudes.
Nice.
Those dudes loved harder than like a Disney princess love story. It was. I mean, Beauty and the Beast. It's exactly what this was. It was they do for your worlds, and I mean, listen. I feel like certain times there are certain projects where they'll say a phrase and it changes the entire context of, like, to me, WandaVision changed what after Vision said, what is grief but love persevering. I felt Black Panther Wakanda Forever changed when they said Namor es el niño no tienes amor. Like, this one phrase changed the whole context and elevates it. When Frank tells Bill, I've never been scared of anything until I met you. Like, that changes, like, it elevated the whole episode and the series as a whole, because now that I realize it, looking back, and it's been alluded to, but I never really made the connection. This entire series has been a deconstruction of what can love mean, good and bad.
Right.
And through that lens, it is a masterclass of every version of love, to the point that you get to the final episode. If they're allowed to operate on Ellie, there is a chance. It's not even confirmed, but there's a chance that you can find a cure to the cordyceps infection. And the entire world would benefit. whether it can be manipulated or weaponized to like only a certain number of people get it, the rest don't, whatever the case is, that's besides the point. There would be an option. And Joel, because of the love he has for Ellie, because he already lost a daughter that he loves so much, now he has to decide, do I lose her to save the world, or do I save her because she's my world? And when he goes in that tear, which was beautiful, in like, if you've played the game, Joel just walks down like the Terminator and just murks people left and right to get to Ellie. And they montaged it to just this highlight reel of like, he's killing everybody, even people who surrendered. Pow, 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 because you might get in my way on the way out. So I got to finish it. Like, it was incredible. It was like, I knew it was coming, and I was still taken back on like the thoroughness of the violence.
Yeah, and that was like the thing that kind of, I won't go as far as say it's divisive, but it was definitely a topic of conversation, right? Among the gamers. Talking about far as his act. And would you have done that? Was it right or wrong? And that's the beauty, the ambiguity. That's the beauty of the ending here, right? Even at the very, very end, right? Which I love. We talked about. I hope I don't want to change it. Stick to the plan, right? Mm-hmm. And the last two of them were basically the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even dialogue, like
to
the team, right?
But Ellie stabbing that dude while the building was on fire, like that whole breakdown was the only thing that they added was Joel interrogating those two dudes to find out how to make
that was still there, except there was only one dude.
Right, it was one dude, right?
Yeah, but it's still there. Then he hit him in the knee. That's all.
Right, and that was that's why it was different. They added the two dudes to kind of go like, I don't even need you, bam, that kind of thing. But like, and by the way, that line, I forgot how, like, sometimes words can just make you picture. No matter how simple a word phrase of words can be, can make an idea pop in your head. When he jabbed the knife in the dude's leg and says, "If you lie to me, I'll pop your kneecap out," I was like, "God!" Like, it didn't even happen. It's just a visual because of what Joel's already done. Makes you go like, "Oh!" Like, it was crazy. And then on top of all that, you get those moments where they took the comic book origin of how Ellie and Riley went to the mall, and that's how they got infected. Like, that was so well done, so earnestly done. Like, I there's some people watching like, oh, this is like a talking episode. It's not really a thing. I'm like, but it's the choices they have to make and what that puts them through that makes the character's decision moving forward.
Of course.
Like,
which is why
you understand
she
why.
made the choice to stay, right? Because of that, right? Of course.
Exactly.
It's called character development, for Christ's sake. Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. Like Dr. Persian. Anyway, so what I'm saying is you have these character breakaway moments and that it feeds into the bigger moment. That's why Ellie is so determined. Like when Joel says, we don't have to do this. We can just go.
Yeah. And
she's like, no, too many people have died because of me, for me. I can't let that happen. And when Joel, because here's the thing, if you would have told me someone else's kid needs to die for a cure, I'm like, well, listen, sometimes people's kids gotta die. If you told me my kid's gotta die, everyone's gonna burn.
Of course.
Like that, I understand. Like I somebody was saying that they did they had the people playing the beta of the game before, and they have players who are parents and have players who are just single. And out of the single players, it was split 50-50. Some said they agreed with Joel. Some said he didn't.
Right.
Out of all the parent players, 100% are like, yeah, I would have done what Joel did.
Oh, no, yeah.
Like that.
Makes sense.
That is how crazy. And that's what I loved about this game. That's what I love about the series. It is the unflinching reflection of love isn't always good, but it is always present.
Yeah, good. Well said.
Absolutely. And I thought that was just incredible. Just such a good series. I cannot stress it enough. Are there moments of scariness? Yes. Sometimes it's about the evil that men do. Sometimes it's about the monsters. I would have preferred more monsters. I would have preferred a little bit more of like the survival element of like almost like Aliens, where you
sure.
You know, it's right next to you and you just gotta hold off a second. Like, I want more of that. I heard that they got approved for a second and a third season, based on the numbers of season one.
Obviously. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
So
Yeah, because
I More Monsters is by one note. One
it's
note, More Monsters.
it's funny because I had this conversation with somebody after. But yeah, as far as what you're talking about, what they need more of the scares and monsters and all that.
Right.
And I'm curious to see whether someone who has not done the game feel the same way, because this is the way I look at it, right? When you're in the game, right, they do that because you're not gonna sit there and watch it. Right? You have to be involved in what's going on, right? And it heightens the attention, all that, and you investment in the characters because you're controlling them, right? You need action through the game, so you're gonna toss you away a bunch of scenes with, the whatever people. I forgot the sound what they call them. The zombies, what do you want to call them? And you're fighting through them, right? You want
the cordyceps and the bloaters. That's the name of the big guys, the bloaters.
Not the critic. What the sound was with the sound? I forget the names.
Clickers.
Thank you. But you're in there, constantly in battle with that, right? So you experience that. So when you don't see it, it's more jarring. Right. We're used to that, and I get what you can't believe me. I do. I didn't mind it because I'd rather do that than sacrifice the character development, right? Because otherwise you ruin the story. But I get it, right? But for us playing the game, yeah, if this was just a movie, this is a zombie film. What the fuck are the zombies, right? It's not. But in the game, if you're playing, you don't get to play, kill anybody. What the fuck am I doing here, right? It's just watching a movie. So I get that. I see what you're saying. But what choice did they have?
Right? Well, I'll tell you what. I just wanted a scene, and it didn't have to be in every episode, but like I wanted it in one of the off episodes. When it's just about humans. Sure. I would have liked to see when they're walking. It doesn't have to be like in a cave or in a maze, but like maybe when they're just walking in the woods and they think they hear somebody, and it's a clicker, and it's doing that weird like I'm alone crying,
right.
Because the when you see like when the cordyceps isn't controlling them, they're just like sad humans who wish they were dead, and that kind of like sympathy. Fear, I wanted a little bit more of like the horror of the existence of the cordyceps. And if they would have done that, like they could have just walked past it in the woods real quiet. It didn't have to be a big thing, but showing that would have been cool. Like just a little bit like.
I get it. And I think that they probably made a conscious choice not to focus on the characters, right? Because this whole story is about Joe and Ellie. Right, that relationship.
No, I get it, but like if you would have had that scene, how much more impactful would it have been when Sam asks Ellie, "Are you still you after you get bit?"
Right.
Because she would be wondering, like, well, do I tell him, yeah, and you'll be crying because you can never go back, or like, so there's like, I think that would have added just a little bit more of like, and you really wanted that, and what, mind you. Am I splitting hairs and being super nitpicky? Yes, I'm being super nitpicky because the series is great on its own. It's just not.
We got a different perspective.
What I wanted, but it's like 97.
We got a different perspective and all that, which I'm glad they made some changes. Even at this last episode, the beginning, the first sequence with the mother, Eddie's mom, that's totally brand new, right?
Oh yeah,
who's the voice of Eddie in the game?
Who played the voice of Ellie? Yeah,
Ashley Johnson, I think her name is, whatever. But that was cool. I like that. But yeah, I'm glad because this game is so good that almost scene per scene, shot per shot, dialogue is in the show. Like, what game could say that? Could have that? It doesn't happen, which is why I made this game so great, because it was almost a series played out with some stuff in between, with killing zombies in between, right? You're watching the story unfold.
Yeah.
It's so good that it just translated so well. The scene with the giraffe.
It did.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the game.
Oh, the giraffe.
I love that scene in the game, one of my best scenes, and I'm so glad they stuck it in there with the real giraffe, by the way, not CGI from what I saw, what I was told anyway, which is very cool. I love that.
I wasn't sure if it was CGI or real. It looked real.
No, it was a real giraffe.
That's awesome.
Right. I mean, it was. It didn't look. And at first, I'm like, that's CGI, but I read somewhere it was actually a real giraffe. That I love the fuck. I'm so glad they kept that right. The ending, even when she asked the question, because I was like, man, you get why he lies to her. You understand it, but at the same time, that's kind of fucked up, because that was her purpose, right? And it's the kind of thing that kind of dive more into in the second game, which obviously, second season, focusing on the second game, splitting up between 2 seasons.
Well, this is going to be 2 seasons, right, so I think because if you played the second game, you realize there is a point of view switch.
Right. I guess another character that gets introduced, you play. Yeah.
Right. So. And so not spoiling anything, guys. Not spoiling. But if they do the point of view switch, you can absolutely see how season 2 and 3 are going to play out same time frame, two very completely
Yeah, no,
different
exactly,
perspectives.
and it all comes up together
Yeah,
really well. But I know they Druckmann and the showrunner, they talked about it
Neil
where
Druckmann. Yeah,
they're looking forward to diving into it and making changes, whatever that means. I'm thinking they're alluding to, and I'm not going to spoil anything for those who are unaware of what happened in this end game. But there's definitely a choice made, which is
oh, early
which
on,
is very
right?
controversial, and I'll leave it
Very
at that. I
controversial.
don't know if they have the sack to do that. I
I
don't
think
know.
they do. I think they do.
I don't know
I,
because TV
I
is different, right? It's different, right? And I don't I navigate these waters very carefully. The show relies on certain things, and to take that away can be very jarring for someone who's unfamiliar with the source material, right?
let me say this. I think they're going to do it, but it's not going to happen as upfront as they
That's
did in the
exactly
game.
that was my next thing. I think they're gonna do it maybe towards the end of the second season, right?
I say no. I disagree. I think they're going to do it early, like, episode
Oh,
three of the second of the episode three of the second
that's so
season,
early. I don't
because
know.
that is the catalyst. You need
Listen,
that. So
I want to see that. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if they got the stones to do that.
I think
I
they
don't know
do
if HBO's
because
gonna say, all right, guys, slow it
okay,
down.
so anyone who's watching this, if you haven't played The Last of Us 2, we're gonna dance between raindrops, still make it entertaining for
Right,
you.
right.
But check out
It's
how we're
hard to
gonna do
talk
this,
about, so I
right?
really don't want to say what happens, right?
I feel like they're gonna do it episode like 2 or 3 because you need that moment to instigate the original course of it. Because then you get to the end where the new information is like, guess
No,
who
no,
we
of course,
found?
agreed.
And then
But
from
but I
there,
think you can
season two
rewrite it,
is
and
that
I think things can
perspective
change to some
leading
degree.
into the final
No,
confrontation.
that can still happen though in season the third season, whatever. There's a way
Right.
around that. Like I said, I think they still go through with it, but just not at the point where in the game where it happens. I don't think it's that early. I really don't.
Yeah, it's not going to be episode 1.
There's
It's
no.
going to be, I
I
think,
think there's
episode 3 is
there's
where
no
it
chance of
happens.
that. People will be like, "Yo, what's going on here?" Right? I guarantee.
Absolutely.
So if they change it, I want them to keep it. Don't get me wrong. I want to see it happen. Not that early, but see it happen. I hope they don't change that part.
And
Of it,
if
right? It cheapens
and
the story.
if they keep it as brutal as it
Correct.
is,
Yeah,
oof,
that it's gonna be.
oof,
Yeah, it was one of those scenes. Like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But they do. But
uh-huh,
the beginning of the game does touch on how the first game left off. Right? They talk about how that
absolutely,
affects Joel and Ellie as far as because she knows she's bullshitting, right? And
absolutely,
that's what's great
uh-huh,
about the game. In the game and the show, you can tell she knows what's up. She can
absolutely.
pretend it doesn't want to really know the truth, but she knows the truth, and that's part of the confrontation between them. That's really cool because there's a lot of flashbacks. That's right. There's a lot of flashbacks.
I was right. They play with the
Right,
time
you're right.
jumps
Yeah,
because there are
it's starting to come
flashbacks.
about. Yeah, because I only played the second game once,
Uh-huh,
first one a couple times. So yeah, you're right. So they can still kind of toy that. So you know what?
and I
Then
mean,
I
listen,
take it back. That being said, they can go through with it early.
I disagree.
Because of the time jumps. I'm saying.
But I think if it change it, don't do time jumps.
Oh,
You
if you're gonna
started
take that
off
away, fair
with
enough.
the past, and the only time jump you do is like 7 years later. So it's in the future after
Sure,
the
no,
big hit.
I'm saying no. I agree. I agree with you, but I'm saying if they're gonna keep it the way they did, then yes, they can do
Right.
that, and that's fine, right? And they can still keep that aspect
Right.
of the show there for the folks. So,
Right.
God, this is weird. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. It
But
is.
yeah, so I can't wait. I mean, I'm excited because the second game is really good. This one, the way that I have the way this one ended, how they took it, fantastic, did a great job, dude. This is obviously right. This is obvious statement of the year. This is the best game adaptation we've ever seen, TV or film. Obviously,
Absolutely.
by
Hands
a
down.
mile. It's not even close.
Better than
Better
Sonic.
Way better than Sonic. Better than Febreze. All that shit. No, but it's incredibly well done. I'm glad people who don't know the game enjoy the story and why we love it so much, right? Because it's great. It's a great story, right? It really is.
And all I can say is every way they tackled love in season 1, game 2 is love to the nth degree, because everything about that is about love.
And it'll be more brutal.
Oh,
I think we're gonna get.
Oh,
I think we're gonna get a lot. I think we're gonna get a lot more what you want to, in terms of the clickers
Yeah,
and all. We're
with the
gonna get a
monsters and
lot
everything.
more
Yeah.
of that in here, and a lot more of.
Because there's one monster in Last of Us 2, which if we see that would be such a money shot.
I agree. I think they're gonna
my
focus
God.
on that. We're gonna get a lot more the dichotomy between the Fedra and the Fireflies. They do talk about in the game. I think we're gonna get more
Right.
of that side of it. It's very interesting. I'm glad they're doing it because that game is a much bigger game than the first one is. It really is, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, 2 seasons makes perfect sense. 9, 10 episodes a piece of whatever they're gonna do. I can't wait. It was a great run. Good job, HBO. Man, deserves everything. Probably my favorite show of the year so far. I know it's early, but whatever it's worth.
Pedro Pascal, double duty, killing it.
Yeah, he's in the that upper echelon of geekdom stars. We're gonna associate with this kind of shit for a long time, right? He's got 2 roles, right? Very few people can say, yeah, 1, yeah, 2. That's not
2.
That's no easy task. I think you got Harrison Ford, and that's about it for the most part.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Huh?
I think you might be right.
Well,
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Definitely Harrison Ford, and then level beyond just talk about iconic, right? But I'll say John Wick Picard's got 2.
Yeah,
he's got 2.
Picard's got 2.
In terms of geekdom, right? He's got 2.
Yeah.
I gotta.
Chris Evans, technically 3. He did The Losers, Fantastic Four,
but he doesn't.
and
He's not
Captain
really known
America.
for that. Like you can.
Oh, you mean like a big pop
exactly.
hit? Like,
yeah,
okay.
like
I see
2
what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Like Harrison Ford as iconic. Both characters are iconic.
Right.
John Wick Picard is not that iconic in terms of the geek world. It is, right? And I think Pedro Pascal will be in that same conversation in the geek world. Harrison Ford, transcends that, right?
Absolutely.
Beyond that, to be a geek to know the Han Solo, right? So even seeing a Star Wars movie or Indiana Jones, you just know who they are. And we still get Indiana Jones in 3 months from now, so 40 years we're still getting this. So that's a whole different stratosphere. You know what I'm saying? I would say Keanu Reeves has hit that. Neo and John Wick.
Yeah, you're right. And neither one comic, but clearly in the genre of
right.
comics.
People do know it may not be not going to be up there Harrison Ford, but definitely there with John Picard, of course.
And I mean, if we're going to technical, Constantine, he did do comic.
He did comic,
Constantine.
but he's not known for that. Do you think Keanu Reeves? You're going to think one of 2 things. If you're a little bit older, definitely Neo. If you're a little younger, John Wick, or for us, be both.
You're right.
But yeah, it's fair. I don't know. I have to think about this list of who actually has more than one like that, like legitimately, like in the geek world anyway. Iconic, I think, is really just Harrison Ford. He's the only one, I think.
I think you might be right.
Maybe the only one.
And now Pedro Pascal, because 3 times Game of Thrones.
Small role though, small role.
But one of the most memorable deaths. Like when
no doubt there. Yeah.
That's what
in
I'm
the
saying.
Geek world, yeah. What you're right. In the geek world, it's probably 3.
In the geek world,
right,
that death is we were talking about iconic deaths in the geek world.
Yeah. Like I said, he's not iconic. He's not Harrison Ford level, but definitely he's up there. Right. I think I'm trying to create a list of. It's hard to think on top of my head who has more than one role, that geek world or whatever.
That might be a Thanos choice.
That could be a
situation.
There. Think about that and get some ideas on that one. But that's interesting. But that being said, neither here nor there. Last of Us, check it out if you haven't seen it. If you haven't, shame on you, for Christ's sake. Come on, guys. But that being said,
5 stars all across the board.
There's on the nuggets for the today.
Guys, that has been the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love you guys are giving us on social medias, on our webpage. Don't forget to check out this show, as always, on the YouTube channel, Latin Nerd Network, where you can see this show, the watch list, Daniel's Choice, everything available there. If you want to listen to the original audio episodes, you can go to ericdasilva.com, ERICDASILVA. While you're there, don't forget to pick up my album, Adorably Offensive. It is great, and it's not just me saying it because I did it, but trust me, it's a good time to have by all. Listen to your friends, listen to with your family, and if anyone is offensive, easily listen with them and defend them. It's good the makeup is going to be fun to people. Say it was kind of funny. It'll build foundations and bridges. It's fantastic. If you want to follow us on social media, go to at Nerdsplaining Pod on Instagram, at Nerdsplaining _ on Twitter. Guys, that has been the show. My name is Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Boom.